Zambia, like many other countries around the globe, has been grappling with the harsh reality of global warming and climate change. Over the years, the country's been experiencing an increase in frequency and severity of seasonal droughts, occasional dry spells, increased temperatures in valleys, flash floods, and changes in the growing season. The changes in weather patterns have adversely affected communities, both in urban and rural setups, with the most vulnerable being households that solely depend on agriculture for their livelihood and sustainability. Agriculture is among the sectors that has been hardest hit with prolonged droughts, floods, and changes in farming seasons, thereby posing a threat to the country's food security and government efforts aimed at combating poverty. According to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, climate change has reduced the country's agricultural productivity by 16%, thereby slowing down economic growth. Chongwe and Rufunsa are among the districts in Lusaka province that have been severely impacted by climate change, especially that both districts are predominantly agriculture-based. Extreme weather conditions such as flash floods, prolonged dry spells, drought, and changes in growing seasons have left the farming community in Rufunsa and Chongwe areas vulnerable to the shocks of climate change and global warming.
The dam where I get my water sometimes runs dry to the extent that I can't even draw any water from the dam, which is a very bad impact on my gardening. That means it will be the end of my farming.
For years, the people of Chongwe have been depending on this dam for their livelihood and sustainability. However, the periodical drying of the dam has exposed the community to untold hardships induced by the rise in temperatures. In Chongwe, households largely depend on farming activities such as gardening for their livelihood because it's a lucrative business and source of income. The majority of households are able to provide for their nutrition needs through gardening.
When I started planting my tomatoes, most of the nursery went dry because of the bad weather that we had. We had a very cold season. And tomatoes don't easily grow where there's too much, like frost. Yes, it was so cold, like ice cold, and all my tomatoes dried.
Poor forest management has further fueled and contributed to global warming, resulting in an increase in extreme temperatures and poor rainfall patterns.
Problemu yabene iri kuno abantu kujuba mitengo popikira kunkara kulibi. Ero kuti bakwanise kugula marasha chinkara chotivu. So at least timajuba ko mitengo yopikirako. Mitengo yamene jubiwa na abantu inkara ni yambiri. Kukonka chabe muntu kuti month isire angajube mitengo oro 15 to my trees.
The story is similar in Rufunsa district, with the effects of climate change visible, as evidenced by the drying of the Nonsemfwa River, which is the lifeline of people in the area.
Tuli mugati kama pensi ino. Wina aliyamponya mapopwe paga yataligira kunzaula kutaba tunzegezege ponya hora yatani intwajiri kulangela limwe do lino bya gwina ntitwagate buroro popwe tagu.
Water insecurity remains a teething problem for many communities as they rely on dams and rivers for their sustainability and livelihood. The Chalimbana River used to flow throughout the year, but not anymore. Before the onset of the dry season, the river is already drying up.
I'm Edman Mukanko in Zone 1, Commissioner Chiefdom, who is just along Chalimbana River catchment area, where we have this problem of having no water. Animals, our beds, we have no water. So, long time back, we used to have a lot of water.
Block making is a thriving business among the youth who are unemployed, But it comes at a huge cost: the environment, as huge chunks of firewood are required for burning and baking bricks. This size of a kiln requires 2 tons of fried wood to burn the bricks to acceptable standards. The negative impact of cutting down trees is well known by the community, but the high cost of living and mass youth unemployment leaves many young people without a choice but to cut trees to make ends meet.
I'm aware that cutting down of trees, it has affected actually about a certain percentage, so to say. But we have no option because we do any living through this. For us to do this project, we need firewood. So once if we were to be stopped to cut down trees, it will affect us, as we are doing this project. So that's the reason why, we are aware that cutting down of trees, as I've said, it has affected the land pattern, but we have no choice.
In order to cushion communities against further effects of climate change, a consortium of civil society organizations have joined hands in implementing a 5-year program called Voices for Just Climate Action. The program aims to ensure that by 2025, local civil society and underrepresented groups take a central role as creators, facilitators, advocates, and innovators of locally shaped climate solutions. Additionally, Voices for Just Climate Action program aims to create a world where the civil society co-creates locally relevant, inclusive, and fundable climate solutions which deliver real benefits to people and nature.
Southern Africa, in Zambia, is implementing a program called Voices for Just Climate Action. In this program, we are working with local communities to come up with climate solutions that are long-lasting and have a huge impact on the climate change problem that we have in the country. We are implementing these interventions in Lusaka province, and in particular Chongwe and Rufunsa districts, and also the Kafue lower basin. Why we've chosen these areas of implementation is because this is where the problem of climate change has actually been felt the most. We have seen reoccurrence of droughts, reoccurrence of floods.
On the part of government, it has shown its unwavering resolve in mitigating and curbing the effects of climate change by realigning the establishment of a new Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, which is dedicated to promoting sustainable environmental protection. The United Party for National Development (UPND) administration has further provided a roadmap in its party manifesto on how it intends to combat climate change as it pursues its economic development agenda.
There's extreme temperatures. All of these extremes as a result of mankind using the environment sustainably. So our goal is to adapt to these changes. How do we still live with climate change? How do we stop the effects which are making the negative effects of climate change accelerate? For example, there are greenhouse emissions. How do we reduce on burning of fossil fuels? How do we reduce on pollution of our rivers through agricultural activities? These effects of climate change are making poor countries poorer.
If Zambia is to record positive strides in its drive to mitigate and combat the effects of climate change, then concerted efforts are required from all stakeholders to develop feasible, locally led and shaped climate solutions.